Hey guys, Prithviraj, hope you guys are doing great. So Canon announced their new EOS R5 and R6 back in July. It's definitely going to head into the Malaysian market, but we have no definite date on when exactly it's going to head into the Malaysian market. But good news is that Canon Malaysia was so kind enough to grace us with the Canon EOS R6 for us to play for about 4 days. And in this video, we're going to share our initial impressions and our experience with the new Canon EOS R6, what exactly has changed and what is true and so much more. So let's not waste any time and get right into this video, and you're watching The Adventures of Vesper. Let's begin. Now, the Canon EOS R lineup is their mirrorless lineup, and they made their debut with the EOS R and the RP in 2018 and 2019 respectively. Today we actually get to see their new camera, which is going to be added into the list, which is the R5 and R6. And R5 and R6 seems to be basically the flagship camera of them all, because the specification is relatively impressive, and also whatever that comes under the hood is definitely a step above from the EOS R and the RP we have seen in the past. So with that said, we only have the R6 here at the Adventures of Vesper. When we do get the R5 later down the line, we will definitely talk about that camera in another video, but today let's just focus on this one. So let's just take a closer look at the specification with the Canon EOS R6. So we have a 20.1 megapixel sensor under the hood with 5-axis in-body image stabilization. If you were to use the proper R lens, you can actually get up to 8 stops, which is pretty impressive. And the camera is now capable of tracking 4 subjects, which is basically the head, the body, eye, and also animal. So this is pretty cool because now I can actually track animal. Other than that, you also get the 12 frames per second shooting capability with servo AF with image, and you can go up to 20 frames per second if you are planning to do a silent shooting. On top of that, in terms of video capabilities, this camera has definitely upped the RP and the R series, because the R and the RP were only able to go up to 4K 30, and one of the camera actually had a crop factor of 1.8x. But this time around, you get an impressive 4K 60 frames per second, and the best part about the sensor is that it actually shoots in 5.5K and downscales it to 4K to give more detail and capture more detail in a 4K video. Pretty impressive, and I love it. And the best part about the particular video capability on this camera is that you actually get support for C-Log. So the R5 isn't just the only one that gets the pro-grade experience, but this one also gets the pro-grade experience. With C-Log, you can also shoot in BT706 and BT2020. So now the specification is out of the way, let's just talk about our experience with the Canon EOS R6. Now, Canon actually loaned us the camera with a 24-70 lens with f2.8 and basically the body itself. As for the SD card, we just used our personal SanDisk Extreme Pro SD card, which is capable up to 300 megabits per second region, right? And we also used our Kingston Canva Select card on this one to actually shoot our images and whatsoever. In terms of speed, we are not too worried too much because the UHS 2 is going to offer pretty much an amazing experience, although people don't get to experience the CF Express, which is offered in the Canon EOS R5. But I think that while the CF Express is definitely the way to go, those cards are relatively expensive, and for the most part, consumers who wants to actually get the best out of their camera isn't going to spend that much of money to get the card, and it's going to definitely put a hole in their wallet without even thinking twice. Even if they were to pass me the camera without a CF Express card, then me forking out like few hundred just to get the card, when the card is not even available on sale as of right now in Malaysia, as far as I know, it's going to be really hard for me to even test run the camera, which is the R5 I'm talking about. So in this case, the R6 was really easy. So say for instance, if anybody is willing to get into a new camera system like the R6, you won't have any issues with the SD card slot itself. Now, other than that, the whole experience with the UI and the capabilities to shoot an image or shoot a video on this camera is relatively easy and simple and straightforward. And I have to say the experience is definitely better as compared to the EOS R and the RP. Now here's why. So unlike the EOS R and the RP, which actually has a display up top and you have a separate dial to change between modes, and you need to press the button again and change the modes to video and picture, so it gets really clunky and it gets really complicated. Although I like having the display up top, but that dial wasn't really a user-friendly dial. So what Canon did was they actually went back and brought back the amazing classic dial back into the system. So which means you get a proper dial that actually has a video mode, and you switch between the manual, and then you have so many other modes, the auto mode, so you just have to tilt the dial and switch to it right away. It's as simple on the EOS R6, so that's something that I'm really grateful for, and it's a welcoming addition to the whole system. Other than that, you get pretty much the same experience. You get like all the ports on one side, and the whole experience is pretty much not changed at all. In fact, one of the questions that I kept getting is that, at least from my friends, was number one, this is something that I really need to address, because does the camera overheat at all? Now, when the Canon EOS R5 and R6 was initially announced, everybody was saying that the camera overheats a lot, and some even claimed that the Canon EOS R5 and R6 is incapable of going way past 6 minutes or the 10-minute mark. For what it's worth, during our testing, what we did was we actually set to 4K 60Hz. So one of the complaints the R6 has is that when you set to 4K 60Hz and when you start recording it, it actually gets overheated and it will shut off immediately. Now, during our testing, the camera did get warm in the 5 to 6 minutes mark, and about 15 to 20 minutes mark, we literally started feeling the warmth around the grip itself, and it slowly transferred to the button, where the buttons were even a little more warmer. And at the 25 minutes mark, what exactly happened was the camera started showing us warning signs, which you can see the image on somewhere here, and that indicator changed into 2, where there was an extra thermometer indicator that shows the camera is definitely getting hot, and somewhere around 27 minutes point 1 second, the camera completely shut off with the overheated sign, and it didn't turn back on. So after that, what we did was we just turned it, like switched it off, turned it back on, the camera did turn on, and we weren't able to record in 4K 60Hz. So what we did try to do is we actually went down, we went to full HD 60Hz, because that's the next best thing we can think of, and when we went to that, it was still capable of recording in full HD 60 frames per second. So which means the 4K is only capable up to shooting about 27 minutes, and the full HD, which we didn't really try much, but you can still have the opportunity to shoot in full HD. But if you're planning to do a podcast of sorts or whatsoever, like an hour-long podcast, I'm not too sure the camera can actually last that long, because the 27 minutes mark is definitely not long enough for those kind of situations. So because, I mean, trust me, everybody who wants to have a piece of this camera is definitely going to tap into the whole cinematic experience. And the fact that I was able to take it up to 8-stop with this particular lens, because this is a certified R lens for the camera, to actually enhance the image stabilization, so which is pretty great. Taking pictures on this camera was really fun, and I think there was barely any hard times that I went through it. In fact, I was able to get enough shot, but the thing is that one thing that I really noticed was the battery life on the EOS R6 is a little behind. So you can get about 400 to 500 shots per charge. When the camera does hit the market, you'll be able to get like camera grips for it to expand the battery life a longer day and make it even longer for your use case scenario. Other than that, there's nothing much to actually pinpoint or complain, because pictures that came out of this camera is pretty impressive. It actually takes in the CR3 format. Now, to which is, if you're planning to get this camera right now, Lightroom doesn't support the whole format, so we actually had to use their very own tool to convert the image to actually get the right image out of it. And we have uploaded all of the image down in the link in the description below, because we did a written review of this one. Now, what I did like about this camera is the fact that it still retains a more of a DSLR body, because I actually love a really huge body. Because the moment when I hold this camera, let me just take it right out of here, because I just want to show you guys this one. The fact that the grip alone on this one is pretty thick enough for me to actually hold with no discomfort, and I can actually shoot an image with no discomfort at all. And the 24-70 lens is definitely a huge lens, and having a big body definitely does kind of gives an even experience, as unlike to certain other manufacturers that makes the mirrorless camera really small, but the camera lens can go extremely big. So with that said, this is an impressive camera, and one thing that I really can't seem to get behind is their new exclusive mount. There isn't a lot of lenses available as of right now. In fact, we are not sure what exact lenses are available for this particular mount when the camera is about to be available in the Malaysian market. But for all we know, I mean, as you can see right here, I already have a 24-70 lens, which was available ever since the R series started. And the 24-105 lens is also available in the market, which is considered the kit lens for this camera. And there isn't much to say about this camera because, truth be told, for it just to play with this camera is all we can do is just take pictures, and all we can do is just to try out the whole feature, what it has to offer. So far, what we did try, and so far the features that we tried, it's working, and the experience that we got out of the video department on this camera, in my opinion, is pretty impressive. Sadly, this camera has to go back to Canon Malaysia, but we did request that after the whole launch and whatsoever is over, we are definitely planning to get this camera back from Canon Malaysia for us to complete the full in-depth review on this one. So stay tuned for that, and once again, thank you so much to Canon Malaysia for making this video happen and for making this whole experience happen. It was such a fun for me to shoot with this particular camera. Check out the pictures that we have taken with this particular camera in the link down in the description below. We actually went to Lookout Point in Ampang to actually shoot the whole landscape of KL, which was pretty cool. I think that's one of my personal favorite shot. And and check out the video as well, because I really want your thoughts and opinions on how exactly the video quality is on this one. That's basically it. Thank you so much for watching this video. We will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, this is Prithviraj signing off. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.